Just once again looking forward to practice today and tomorrow, and then shoot around Wednesday and get ready to play South Carolina.
Coach, how's Isaiah Joe looking? Is he practicing?
I didn't think I was going to get asked that question, Nikki. That's we haven't done anything. Sunday was off for us. We practice here in a little bit. He'll suit up and probably do what he did, 2 days before our last game, which is kind of nothing, and spend most of the day with Mark, the trainer, and maybe get some shots up or something like that. But he's not on the practice plan.
Are you hopeful he'll play Wednesday, or what would you say is the prognosis?
I don't even know what to say, Bob, because I really, I don't know, because we played Saturday, we were off Sunday, guys are just trickling in now from class, so that's 3 days of, spending time with Mark O'Neill, our trainer, and, I think anytime you do anything, if he gets shots up and stuff, and then does it swell, I have no idea, if he does limited stuff today, is there swelling tomorrow? Only time I don't know. I'm not a medical.
And then one of the Carolina writers points out to me, I guess he said they're 348th in terms of fouling people. I think the opponents have shot over 500 free throws, and you guys obviously drove the ball a lot and got to the line. What do you think of how much they foul? How can you maybe use that to play to your advantage?
Yeah, I think we've really improved at drawing free throws attempted. I said it after the TCU game. I thought it was by far our best shot selection of the year. We didn't settle for threes. We only took 9 threes. I think we made 6. Just really good shot selection, and we've done a great job of not only getting to the rim lately, but of finishing. I think Coach Mosier did a little study the other day. I think we were like at 91% at the rim against TCU, and they have a pretty big guy in there in Samuels, and so both, like I said, the last 2 games we haven't settled, and we certainly don't want to settle on Wednesday either.
As far as just what would you feel was the key adjusting without Isaiah against TCU, and if you don't have him, kind of what's the keys to adjusting without him against South Carolina?
Yeah, I thought the keys to adjust, obviously we're going to make a change in our starting lineup, probably regardless of who played or who didn't play. So I just, I think it's every game, new identity, new theme. South Carolina's hard to score on, so you can't settle. They play good physical defense. Free throws attempt becomes a big part of the game against them, and then they're really good on the offensive glass, so we've got a defensive rebound. But I don't know if that answers the question. But
Jimmy Whitt is the only guard since 1993 to average more than 15 points and not make a three-pointer. You talked a lot about him this season, but what does that mean for him as a player, what he brings, and what does that say about his season so far?
I think Jimmy, I said it after the games, one of the best defenders in all of college basketball. I think he's an NBA-type defender. The best part about Jimmy is he knows who he is. And when any time that you're a coach, I think kind of in any sport, it's like, does a player understand who he is? Does he understand his strengths and weaknesses? Does he try to stay within who he is as a player? I never have to tell Jimmy, stop shooting threes. He knows not to shoot threes. And the maturity of his game to be able to do that is amazing.
Eric, what makes Jimmy such a good defender, an elite defender, I guess, not just good but elite? And how, maybe if you watched film of him at SMU, how has he improved as a defender under you guys?
Yeah, I didn't watch much film of him at SMU. I looked at his rebounding numbers and knew that he could get to the rim and score around the rim based on statistical analysis and so forth. We didn't have enough time to really dive in and watch a ton of film of transfers at that time. It was more studying analytically how they would fit in, and casually I had watched his games. But
I guess regarding What makes him such an elite defender? Maybe how has he improved since the start of practice?
7-foot wingspan, studies the scouting report, asks questions, understands defensive angles, doesn't crowd guys that are great dribble drive guys. He gives them an arm's length, but yet because of his great wingspan can contest three balls. I think most importantly, he wants to guard the opposing team's best player 1 through 4, and he takes that as a challenge. Some guys hide from it. You know, when you bring your team together and you say, hey, who wants to guard Bain? His is the first hand up. Or you're getting ready to play Indiana on the road, and who's going to guard Jackson Davis? He puts his hand up right away. You're like, come on, man, you're our point guard. You sure you want to guard their 4 or 5 man? Yep, let me take him. And so there's not, I've been around, you know, not many guys that want to every night do that.
Did you see him playing in the NBA, carving out that defensive niche, you know? I mean,
You know, I think to play at the next level, it's all about, do you do one thing great? And then, do you know who you are as a player? And those two, like, he does one thing great, and he knows who he is as a player. Certainly feel like he's a guy that would have to earn his way onto a roster through like a training camp type situation. But I definitely feel like he is a guy that, having coached at the NBA level, I do feel like he's a guy that has a role, just like Cody Martin has a role right now with Charlotte. I truly believe if you were an NBA coach, you would want a guy that practices hard every day, a guy that can defend, and does one thing really special, and he does that. And he's a great locker room guy.
Yeah, Coach, you've talked in the past about how Jalen, when he's on the floor, kind of changes the pace of the game for you guys. It seems like sometimes when he brings the ball across half court, it's 27, 28 seconds left on the shot clock. Have you noticed maybe how that maybe impacts you guys' efficiency offensively?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like, we don't want walk-ups, meaning we don't want to walk the ball up the floor. We don't want look-ats, meaning look over at the bench and get a play call. And Jalen doesn't do walk-ups, and he doesn't do look-ats. I mean, he just pushes it, and we've talked to him a lot about, hey, get that thing, and I did it even during the game, late game, I think with about 6 minutes to play. I said, hey, keep pushing it, get that thing to the top of the key, push and probe, see what you got. If you don't have anything, then backpedal and then glance over, and we'll give you a play call at that point. But we wanted him to play with pace, because he does such a good job of getting other people layups or clean looks with their feet set, and guys that have 10 toes towards the rim. He does a good job of delivering the ball in the proper time.
How pleased were you with kind of the way you milked the clock the last 6 minutes of the TCU game? And is that a tough thing, or kind of a risk that you think, boy, if things go wrong, is it hard to get them back going in an offensive flow if you need to?
Yeah, the milking the clock at the 6-minute mark, if you kind of go in your own head and say, all right, there's 6 minutes left, we run the shot clock down to 4 or 5 on the shot clock, how many defensive stops do we need? I'm not very good in math, but I got some guys on the bench that are really good, and so I'll ask how many stops we need, and if we need, say, 10 stops out of 15 possessions, you're not going to do it. But if it's a good number that I know we can get stops, I know a lot of the Mountain West coaches they know that the success of milking the clock with 6 minutes to go, because I got a lot of text messages about when I took this job that they were glad they didn't have to sit and watch the air get taken out of the ball. So has not lost us a game in 4 years. So no, I mean, mathematically, you just, you know, if you only need 2 baskets and there's 6 minutes to go, you know, and you don't turn the ball over, then, you know, we'll take those odds. And I thought you know, it's part of maturing, it's part of knowing our late game package. So not really, you know, I think we have to do that.
Coach, we saw your statement last night about Kobe Bryant. I wonder, with some time a night to sleep on it and see some of the response from your old colleagues in the NBA, if you could just kind of give us an idea of how that's hitting you today now that you've had some time to digest.
Yeah, you know, yesterday, you know, it was obviously shocking to everybody. As I've looked back at, the time that I was a NBA head coach and also an NBA assistant, and my sons talked about it. I talked to both of them yesterday like we were all three on a call together because Matthew was heading back to San Diego from the Bay Area, and both my sons have autographed jerseys to them in their rooms in the Bay Area. Obviously, Michael put a picture out when I was an assistant with the Grizzlies. Kobe was really unique. Right before that picture with Michael, one of the other Grizzlies assistants had asked for something from Kobe, and he said no. For whatever reason, because that was prior to me coaching the Lakers D-League team, he just kind of, when he respected you, he communicated with you. And, I asked him one night for a pair of his shoes, and I said, hey, can you sign one for one son, and can you sign the other for the other? There's not a lot of NBA superstars that would take the time to sign one shoe to one son and one to another. They'd just sign them, or a lot of guys wouldn't even give you the shoe and say, no, I need them for tomorrow night or whatever. And that was as an opposing coach. And the very first game that I ever coached was in Hawaii, and it was an exhibition game. I looked across the way, and it was Kobe, Shaq, Gary Payton, Karl Malone. So I have some vivid memories. I don't remember what year, but one of the years when I was with the Warriors, in the first quarter, we shaded Kobe to his right. In the second quarter, we shaded him to the left, and we had worked on that for the 2 days prior, that we were going to mix up each quarter which way we shaded him and where all the help was going to be. And right before the second half started, he came over, and I didn't think that he would know what we were really doing. And he looked at me and he said, Coach Muss, what are you going to do this third quarter, play me straight up? And he said, good luck with that. And, those were, just some things that I've experienced with him. And then when I was coaching the Lakers D-League team, it was after a game, and I had stayed doing a post-game report. I was the last one out of the building other than the security guard at the Lakers D-League facility. And I came out. There was a car about 4 spots away from mine. It was Kobe's car. He rolled the window down and said, Coach, is anybody else in there? And I said, I'm the last one other than the security guard. And he said, okay, great. He got out of his car, and I asked him, why. And he wanted to go shoot in there and didn't want anybody in there, including me. Just, a unique competitor that had an incredible work ethic.
Eric, I assume you probably put Jimmy on Lawson. If so, how do you see that matchup? And just kind of what do you think about South Carolina? They've kind of been well, why don't you answer that first, and I got one more for you.
Who we're having him guard.
No, I said I assume you are. You're the coach. I don't know.
I mean, I got to consult with Swish, see what he thinks. But yeah, Jimmy's always gone on the best player, so I'm assuming that he'll guard Lawson and so what else?
How do you see that matchup between Jimmy and Lawson?
I mean, I won't know till Wednesday at 9:42 or whatever. I mean, Lawson's a tough cover, and I could see other people guarding him too, though, in all honesty, because, the kid 5's playing well for him too at the guard spot and creates mismatches as well. So Jimmy could be on him for some stretches of the game.
And then you look at South Carolina. I mean, they've been good enough to win at Virginia. They've been good enough to beat Kentucky, but they've played poorly enough to lose to Stetson and Boston University. Kind of what are you expecting from them? Because they've been kind of inconsistent.
I mean, we got to expect to get South Carolina's best, game. Obviously, their non-conference schedule is what it is, but in conference, just like last year, they're playing really well. We expect to see a really good team, like you mentioned. They've gotten themselves really ready to play against the Virginias and the Kentuckys and people like that. And the Kentucky game was back and forth, and they got stops when they needed, and they scored when they needed. And I think anytime you play a program that's beaten Virginia and beaten Kentucky, you better bring your A game or else. And so that's how we approach South. I think they're, a really good team.
Well, Bob got all 4 mine and 1 there, so, sorry. No, have you run across Frank Martin much? And he's kind of an elder statesman, well-regarded guy in the league. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in different situations, like in health clubs, at the Final Four a couple different times, and just had those type of conversations, but certainly don't have the relationship with Coach Martin that I do with people like, Tom Crean and Coach Cal and even Rick Barnes. I mean, so I can't comment if I really don't know someone really well.